How do you handle people who are pushing your buttons, trying, striving, aspiring to get a reaction out of you? Okay, but you should always be elevating. And sometimes the way that you elevate is you might be a people person or not so much a people person. There's no right or wrong. But one thing's for sure, you're going to have to deal with people. You cannot. That goes for me too. Neither I nor you can crawl away into a cave and stay there forever. We're going to have to come out into the world and interact with other people. Some people you're going to enjoy interacting with. There are other people that just get on your last nerve. And specifically, there are going to be people from time to time who show up to poke you, to provoke you, to troll you. And I wanted to share some workout wisdom with you today. In other words, a lesson from the gym, directly from the gym, that will inform you about how to handle provocation and trolling. I'm also going to explain to you 4 benefits for taking this approach that I'm going to explain. Before I do all that, let me just tell you I am Mark Johnson, the founder of BounceVep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I'm also the youngest son of Bill Johnson, and I do want you to leave your comments, your impressions, your opinions. Go ahead, leave it in the comment section for me. I do enjoy hearing from you, and I do enjoy actually responding. Okay, so with all that said, I want to get right into this. This is going to be a good one. So let me just lay some groundwork here. I'm going to explain to you about my approach when I'm getting ready to go for a workout and when I actually get into the gym and start working out. So what happens is, before I show up to the gym, in most cases, I already know what I'm going to be doing for that session. In other words, I'm going to be training a certain muscle group for that session, and I already know what that is before I show up at the gym. I may have decided a day or two before, or maybe just 10 or 15 minutes before, but 95% of the time before I show up to the gym, I know what I'm going to be working on. I know what my agenda is going to be. If I know the muscle group, then I typically also have a certain set of specific exercises that I'm already planning on doing. Okay. So when I show up at the gym, I have an agenda. I have a regimen that I already know I'm going to follow for that session. So I get in there and I get started and I work through my agenda for that day. A lot of times I write down everything that I'm doing as well. I write down the reps and the exercises and how much weight I'm handling, but I stick to my agenda. Now, inevitably, there are going to be other people in the gym. So sometimes, there will be somebody next to me doing the, they're working on whatever they're working on. They're doing the lift, maybe they're on the bench doing some presses, or maybe there's a lady over here doing something right. She's doing her thing, looking good, but none of what they're doing affects my agenda, right? And have you ever been to the gym? You may have seen this before. You may actually even be guilty of this. Like someone at the gym is working out, and there's another person close by working out to them, and this other person is just killing it. They're like doing something, like maybe they're like benching 500 or 600 pounds or something, just something ridiculous, right? And so now the first person sees what the other person is doing, and all of a sudden they start adding a bunch of plates that they didn't actually plan on doing, but they start adding a whole bunch of plates, basically trying to prove how strong they are, almost like trying to show up the other person. And so they come off of their own agenda as a reaction to what someone else is doing. Now, see, I don't do this. When I go to the gym, I have my own regimen that I'm going to work on for that day. I don't care what she's doing. I don't care what he's doing. Now, if they're doing something impressive, I might notice it, of course. If a guy next to me is benching 600 pounds, how can you not notice that? That's impressive. But it's not going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to proceed with the workout that I'm there to do. Okay? So my agenda is unaffected. I'm not reacting to them. And this brings me to that essential piece of workout wisdom that I want to share with you today. Remember, we're talking about how do you handle provocations and trolling? How do you handle people who are pushing your buttons, trying, striving, aspiring to get a reaction out of you? How do you handle it? Well, see, just the same way as you would do in the gym, you stick to your agenda. You don't let what somebody else is doing next to you affect what you're supposed to be doing. Okay? You take that approach outside of the gym and you apply it to your interactions with people in real life. Okay? Not to say that the gym is not real life, but you understand. When you get outside of the gym, that's a different part of your life. That's the rest of your life that you have to live. Okay? And you've got to interact with people. You can apply that same approach. You see, the essential workout wisdom that I want to share with you is this. You can ignore the invitation to escalate. Let me repeat that. You can ignore the invitation to escalate. Stop reacting to every provocation. Think about the times when you were in a dispute with someone, whether you started it or they started it, but there was a dispute and it just ratcheted up and ratcheted up. Like one person said something and then the other person said something to one of them, and it just went back and forth, just a little stupid tit for tat. And when it was all said and done, even if you got in the so-called last word, you never really felt great about it. Especially like in retrospect, maybe like a day or two later or a week later, month later, you think back on that incident and it still doesn't feel good, even if you got the last word. See, what you could have done was you could have ignored the invitation to escalate. Not everything that someone says deserves a response at all from you. You can simply not respond. You know, we live in this modern world. A lot of us are using social media, and you know how social media is. Every once in a while, just people appear, and it seems like they just want to say something negative, just to be mean spirited, or just to play the devil's advocate. No other real objective other than just to push your buttons and to get you riled up. This actually this happens to people on social media all the time. All right, I'm just using social media as an example because it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Okay? You have a choice. You can react or you can not react. You see, by not reacting, what you do is you really accomplish four things. And I explain this as the four benefits. So I'm going to enumerate these for you. I think it's going to make a lot of sense. You see, when you ignore the invitation to escalate, the first benefit is you stay in control of your emotions. Now, staying in control of your emotions doesn't mean that you don't allow yourself to feel the negative emotions. What it means is that although you allow yourself to feel the emotions, both good or bad, from what someone says or some comment that someone directs towards or about you, You allow yourself to feel those emotions, but you don't necessarily allow yourself to transmit those emotions. In other words, you hold back. So that's the first benefit. You stay in control of your emotions. The second benefit is you stay in control of your agenda. Remember what I told you about training at the gym. When you show up, you have your agenda. And the guy next to you, the woman next to you, whatever they're doing, that should not affect your agenda for your training that day in the gym. Okay? So you stay in control of your own agenda. The third benefit is this: you avoid stooping to a lower level. You see, there was, some of you know, a rap group called Gangstar. Actually, it was a duo. And the MC, his name was Guru. I remember one of their albums. I can't remember which album and not even which song it was now, but I remember him saying on one of those songs, you know, we always elevate. We always we always elevate. And basically what he was getting at is there's always going to be somebody who tries to pull you down, tries to bring you down to their level. Okay, but you should always be elevating. And sometimes the way that you elevate is by not responding to their foolishness at all. You just don't respond. Okay, let me give you the fourth and final benefit. You deny them the victory of a reaction. You see, because for some people, their only power is their ability to agitate you. So when you don't react, you take away that power. Okay? This can drive the other person nuts sometimes. And you know, people can be very persistent. They'll keep trying to provoke you. They'll keep saying something mean. They'll keep saying something, you know, just sometimes just making up lies. But they'll keep saying more and more outrageous stuff. They'll call you all kinds of four-letter words. I mean, just every bad name, every bad word in the dictionary in an effort to rile you up and essentially provoke a response. Just being able to get a reaction from you is a victory. Okay? And so when you don't react at all, you deprive them of that victory. This brings me to my next point about life. We've all heard this before, but it is so true. You've got to pick your battles. Not everything that everyone says to you or says about you deserves a response from you. You see, always engaging, always trying to stand up for yourself. It's very draining of your energy, very draining of your time. And like I said before, it's often the case that in the final analysis, you don't really feel good about what happened. You get into this tit for tat, this back and forth. They say something terrible. You try to one up them. You say something terrible. They come back and you come back, and it goes on and on and on. And in the end, you just end up looking a lot of times just feeling foolish. But from the get-go, you can make a different choice. Just don't react. Don't let them take you off of your agenda. Especially if you are successful, you know that sometimes you'll have people who will say things about you in an effort to rile you up or to maybe cast some aspersions. But in most cases, whatever they're saying about you does not deserve a response from you. You see, you don't have to get into that race to the bottom. Always be elevating. And sometimes the way that you elevate is just don't respond. Don't give them the satisfaction of your response. Okay? Pick your battles. So this is that workout wisdom that I want to share with you today. Ignore the invitation to escalate. That's how you handle provocation and trolling. Stay in control of your agenda. Stay in control of your emotions. And you keep moving forward and you keep elevating. Gonna leave you with that. Take this with you. Talk to you next time.